So I think if I ask this everyone to complete the sentence or complete the slogan, I think most people would be able to complete it when you hear "when in Rome." There's something that automatically comes to your mind. Do as the Romans, of course. I think over time it's actually been shortened to where most people would just say, well, when in Rome. And for those of you that may be of a younger generation that may not be too familiar with this, I was quizzing my kids on it, and Zoe and Wyatt both said, well, they've heard the when in Rome part. So just so I can briefly explain to you what this means, when in Rome, do as the Romans. So the Cambridge Dictionary actually says when you're visiting another place, you should follow the customs of the people in that place. And this is the example that they actually list to try to help you understand what it means. I don't drink wine usually, but on vacation, well, when in Rome. There was another place that I saw trying to describe. It says the phrase "when in Rome, do as the Romans do" refers to the importance of adapting yourself to the customs of the people who are in a certain place or situation and behave like they do. So my question to each of us tonight, is that a biblical principle? Is that something where we're told to, well, when we're in Rome, do as the Romans? Can we find a biblical verse to actually that teaches us to do that? Well, ironically enough, I think that we've got a passage in Romans chapter 12 that actually helps us kind of see quite the opposite. And so as you're turning over to Romans chapter 12, I will just tell you, so in my brief research of this phrase, it first appeared in literature in 1777, and it was the Pope at the time that actually had written this phrase, and he had visited Rome. And apparently it wasn't his custom to take naps, but he had taken a nap while he was there, and so he's explaining to someone, well, the reason he did, well, when we're in Rome, we do as the Romans. So maybe a lot of us just need to go to Rome, and if they take a lot of naps there, and we'll feel more comfortable with that. So Romans chapter 12, verses 1 and 2, it says, and again, this is Paul. Who's he writing to? He's actually writing to the Romans. Verse 1, "Therefore I urge you, brethren, by the mercies of God, to present your bodies a living and holy sacrifice acceptable to God, which is your spiritual service of worship. And do not be conformed to this world, but be transformed by the renewing of your mind, so that you may prove what the will of God is, that which is good and acceptable and perfect." What did Paul just tell the Romans? When in Rome, don't do as the Romans. Don't do it. And you know, I'm afraid that not only just those of us that are younger, and yes, I'm including myself in that group, but we get into this mentality of, well, but everybody's doing it, and I need to fit in. Those of you that are at elementary school, middle school, and high school, all of your friends, they're doing a certain thing. Well, it's okay because all of my friends are doing it. Maybe those of you that are in college. Well, now I'm away from home. Now I'm with this group of people. I need to do what they do. I'm in Rome now. I got to do as the Romans. No, Paul says you're to be different. You're not to be conformed. Don't act like everybody else. You're called to be different. You're to be transformed. When in Rome, don't do as the Romans. Make sure that you're living the life of a Christian, that you're living a life of someone that is set apart, not being conformed to the world. So as you go back to school, as you go back to work, it happens at work where we get pressured, where, well, this is what everybody is doing, so I need to do it also. No, we're called to be different. So I would just ask you to remember that as you go throughout your week. So the purpose of me standing up here this evening really is out of convenience. So we're gathered together, so it's a good opportunity for us to make sure that there's no one that has needs. If there is anyone here that you've got something standing between you and your eternal salvation, you need to make sure that you correct that tonight. Don't lay your head on the pillow tonight having an issue between you and God. If that is because you've never put on Christ, you've never been baptized, we can do that this evening. Or maybe it's you've been living as the Romans and you need to correct that. You've got sin in your life and you need to make that correction. If there's anything that we can do to assist you in your service to God this evening, we ask that you come as we stand and sing the song that's been selected.